And we are live. What's good, Josh? Your man, DL Saint. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How y'all doing? Downrange Podcast. That's right. We're back again. That's right. That's right, man. Thanks to guys who are currently watching Team Replay for the late night episode. Y'all know Uncle Saint was a little tipsy. I went back and watched it myself. I was like, "Whoo, glad I didn't do anything too crazy." But that was a fun episode, man. We were talking about the Trump indictment, the latest Trump indictment. Yeah, that's what everybody's talking about, man. Things are crazy, bro. Things are crazy in America, man. Things are crazy. So I saw this what we're gonna talk about here. Just want to do a real quick live, guys. I missed a few days when I was traveling, and you can't catch up, but at the same time, you want to kind of, do as much content as you can. And tonight, I'm gonna actually be helping out a brother who is starting a podcast, but they do in studio. So I'm going to be doing that here in a few hours. They record and edit and all that. So I'll keep you guys posted as to when the stuff comes out or whatever how it's going to play out. But I got to do that tonight, this evening. So I'm like, well, let me jump on now real quick. I want to talk about what happened in Texas. I'm not sure if you guys are aware. I know a lot of you probably are. Maybe most of you aren't. I don't know. We got Scam Likely in the building, man. What's good, Dusto? How you feeling, bro? We had a good time last night, man. We was all up in the spot, man. Avalon, bro. We was dancing and having a good time. A bunch of beautiful Latinas and sisters were in the spot. It was cool, man. Brother Dusto came through. Brother Tracy was in the building. I was having a good old time, man. Like I said, I was really good at faking salsa and all that stuff, but now that I'm really learning how it's supposed to be done, I have to unlearn all of the garbage that I taught myself, which is like made this whole process that much difficult. But I don't care, man. I don't care how hard it is. I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm getting there. So shout out to Scam Likely. But yeah, man. So in Dallas, this was last week, I think. A family was on their way to a basketball tournament, mom, dad, kids in the car. They were pulled over and some things happened, right? Some things happened, right? And so let's get into it. Let's just get right to it. We're going to start right off. We're going to start right off with this news broadcast from Texas that talks about this thing. So we're going to start there. This is only going to be a few seconds. Kind of give you guys, what's going on. Kind of, just kind of frames it up real good. And then we're going to read an article that the Associated Press wrote yesterday. Brother Scam Likely Dusto was saying, don't start salsa with bad habits. They are hard to correct. They are very difficult to correct. Facts about that, bro. But however you start, make sure you start. That is a cool culture. That's a cool subculture, that dance, that community. The way they get down, I mean, it's just it's fun. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie to you, man. It's a good time. It's always a good time, and there's so much going on in that community. But we'll save that for another show. So let's watch and check out this broadcast. This is about 46 seconds of show that talks about what's going on. We'll watch this first, and then we'll read the article.
We made a mistake. That from the Frisco police chief today after the department admits it pulled over the wrong car Sunday, creating terrifying moments for a North Texas family.
Listen, bro, we just here for a basketball tournament, bro.
We just learned right now. That's why we stopped.
Oh, man, don't do this to my son, bro. I'm coming out, bro.
Come on out. Come on out, please.
Well, police say that stop happened along the Dallas North Tollway after an officer entered the wrong state information on the car's license plate. That indicated that the car was stolen. Well, the terrified family was forced out of their car at gunpoint. Frisco's chief says the department immediately began a review of the incident and is now working to improve training for its officers.
All right, so there you have it right there. And that's just the abbreviated version, of course, but law enforcement made a mistake. Weapons were drawn. It was a felony stop. You got these people in the car that have absolutely no idea what's going on. The article tells you exactly what mistake was made. 10, 15 years ago, not even 5 years ago, this wouldn't even made the news, bro. This wouldn't have even made the news. The police would not have apologized. That's what caught my eye. is when I read this story because the headline stated that police apologized for false stop or mistaken stop or something like that, right? So I had to read the article. Like the police said they're sorry, bro. In my generation, man, that wasn't happening. That wasn't happening. They'll do whatever they want to do, and they know they're wrong, and they'll just double down, triple down on it, and almost dare you to do something about it. That was so right there. It shows me that things are changing slowly but surely. Things are changing. So let's get into the article, man. So there's an article in Associated Press. Again, I like to read the Associated Press because I don't think they're too left or right. I think they're kind of in the middle, as close in the middle as you can get in mainstream media. You know, it's not like I'm reading whatchamacallit, NPR or something like that. And it's not like I'm reading, something too conservative. So here it is. Frisco, Texas. This is Associated Press. This was August 2nd. So this was a while ago. I just didn't hear about it until recently. A Texas police department is apologizing after a typo made while checking a license plate resulted in officers pulling over what they wrongly suspected was a stolen car and then holding an innocent Black family at gunpoint. Now, the article I read, and I forget which article I read, like which outlet, but it was funny because the article I read did not talk about race at all. And it didn't have to. I just, of course, it populated in my mind, which, who was who. And let's just say I was half correct when I was thinking about this. But Frisco police acknowledged that the traffic stop was caused by an officer misreading the car's license plate after the officer saw it leaving a hotel in the city north of Dallas. She checked its Arkansas plate as AZ for Arizona, but should have run it as AR. So this police officer saw this car pulling out of a hotel parking lot, followed the car, and ran the tags. I ain't gonna lie to you. They say that's just good police work. I don't agree with that. I think that's a terrible tactic. But they say that's crime fighting. The way it is what it is. But my thing is run everybody's plates. Why aren't you only following, it seems, certain types of people? That's my take on it. It's like for every Latino who you pull up behind and run their plate, you should get behind a Caucasian. Same thing for every, Black person. You pull up behind, you should get behind, like an Asian. There should be balance there. But it is what it is, man. I'm not a cop. They're doing what they believe is right. It is what it is. So this police officer didn't know the abbreviation for Arkansas and Arizona, got them confused. I believe it was a female officer who did this, I believe. So got them confused, and in doing that, initiated this chain of events, which ended with this family being held at gunpoint by law enforcement and being treated as criminals because this was a criminal stop. So right there, you have the problem. Didn't know the identifiers, didn't know the abbreviation for the states. Especially, I can see if she got confused with, Michigan and, Maryland or something like that because they're so far away. But, these are close states. She should be running these plates all the time, or that officer should be doing this all the time. But anyway, the driver of the car, her husband, and one of the two children being driven to by the Arkansas couple to a youth basketball tournament can all be heard sobbing on body camera video posted online by police in Frisco, Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So this is the Dallas area, right? One of the small municipalities within Dallas. And you can hear the whole family just crying. People are like, well, why are they crying? Because they're afraid for their life. They seen the George Floyd stuff. They seen all kind of shootings. They grew up, the way they grew up. They know the police will shoot you. Just keep it in 100. The police will shoot you. And in the article that I read before, I wish I'd have jotted down a note as to which outlet it was. But in that article, I guess allegedly at one point during this, this stop, one of the parents mentioned something and we're saying that they would, they could reach back into the car or something like that. And law enforcement said, don't do it. If you reach into the car, we will shoot you or something like that. Hopefully they have that in this article. We'll see. We made a mistake. Frisco Police Chief David Shilson said in a statement, our department will not hide from this mistake. Instead, we will learn from them. Hey, that's what's up. They will not hide from their mistakes. I got to give them credit for that. Because my biggest gripe with law enforcement is the poor training, especially with these smaller municipalities. It's the poor training. Right? This right here, yeah, this is a big mistake. This mistake could have led to and resulted in the loss of life. It could have. At least this police department and this police chief is saying, hey, man, we made a mistake. We're going to get it right. We're not going to be 100% correct all the time, but we can learn from this and we can learn from our mistakes. That's all you can ask. Real talk. That's all you can ask. I'm not expecting them to be perfect. I do expect them to know the difference between Arizona and Arkansas abbreviations. I expect that. So, hopefully they'll do something with this officer. I don't think any officer should be fired, not based on what I've seen or read, but there should be some discipline. Absolutely. The video shows an officer pointing his handgun towards the Dodge Charger as he orders the driver to get out and walk backwards toward officers with her hands raised. Also in the car were the woman's husband, their son, and a nephew. Police ordered one of the children to step out and lift his shirt. The driver's husband and the other child are told to stay inside and raise their hands through the open windows. Bro, I don't know if you guys have ever been through something like this, but this is very nerve-wracking and intense. It's intense, especially if you're not used to it. Some of us are used to it. I've never been in trouble a day of my life. The pleading driver says on the video, this is scaring the hell out of me. All right, so these are people who ain't even used to that world, right? Most people aren't. Most people aren't used to that world. Like, I come from a world of hyper-violence. Most people don't come from that world. They're not used to this. Even the people in my neighborhoods and stuff like that where I grew up that weren't in the streets like that, they weren't out there being knuckleheads and doing all this craziness. They still lived in the neighborhood. The police treated us all the same, whether you was a gangster or not. You could be a gangster or a square. It doesn't matter. The police will treat you the same, especially when they pull you over. They get behind you. They do what they do. Police tactics are police tactics. You know what I mean? This is just how it is. Some neighborhoods are up on this. Other neighborhoods, they're not. You know what I mean? You're on the other side of the tracks. You live in the nice neighborhoods where the police are your friends. That's a different world. This don't happen up there. So apparently this woman ain't never really dealt with this, which, that's good. But I have. She said she's never been in trouble a day in her life, and this is scaring the hell out of her. Why wouldn't it? Yeah, all these police officers, man, they out there, they got their weapons out. Yeah, you should be scared. The officer who initiated the traffic stop told the driver she was pulled over because her license plate was associated essentially with no vehicle. I mean, you get into their training when it comes to that. Like, what does that mean? Like, this license plate is associated with no vehicle, so it means you got a fake plate, which means this car is probably stolen. I mean, whatever. They got procedures. They do what they do. Right? I don't know the procedures. It is what it is. But that officer made a mistake. Normally, when we see things like this, it makes us believe the vehicle was stolen. The officer tells the crying woman on the body cam video. So this woman is explaining what's going on. So right here, the police officer is saying it makes us think the vehicle was stolen, not that the vehicle is stolen. Right? I can see if you ran a plate and it came back stolen. Okay, this vehicle was stolen, this plate or whatever. Do what you got to do. But to say, well, it came back nothing, so this is how we do it. Man, that's something I hope they're reviewing when they, with this training stuff, when they update their training. So this officer is telling this woman who's crying that this is what we're doing. This is what it means. Frisco police said in their statement Friday that all the department officers have received guidance stressing the need for accuracy when reporting information. The department said its review will aim to identify further changes to training, policies and procedures to prevent future mistakes. Law enforcement focuses on a lot of stuff. We all know that the cops don't get a lot of training, right? They don't get quality training. And we're talking about just the hard part, like actually being out there, taking people into custody, firing your weapon. We know that the law enforcement personnel don't get ample time at the range, which is another scary thing. They don't get to shoot a lot. They're not very proficient with their weapons. That's really scary. So, but all of the cop stuff, like, what to look for, how to handle, when to leave your vehicle, all the codes and how to use the radio and all that, they're not getting the type of training that most people assume that they're getting. And this thing right here, they're going to, maybe they're like, hey, I screwed up. Arkansas, Arizona, I got it mixed up, AKAZ or whatever, my bad. No, it can't be a my bad thing. Like, I was an air traffic controller for 25 years, over 25 years. I had to be familiar with all of the identifiers for all of the airports in the United States of America and really all over the world. If you're working at an international airport, you need to be familiar with these with these identifiers. Some are 3-letter identifiers, some are more like 4, right? 4 or 5 identifiers. What it depends on what you're looking up, different fixes, I don't want to get into the weeds on it, but we had to know a lot of identifiers. We had to know a lot of identifiers. And, so in the vast majority of those were 3-letter identifiers. So you can't make a mistake. You have to be able to check the stuff. You had to know certain things. Now, when I was working in California, there were certain identifiers I knew code. If I'm working at Van Nuys, I got to know Santa Monica, Burbank, Oxnard, Camarillo. I got to know these things. Alco Dulce, I got to know these things. San Luis Obispo, I got to know these things. Santa Barbara, right? I got to know San Bernardino, Avalon. I just have to this day, I haven't been an air traffic controller for years now, and I still remember those. When I was in Miami, I had to know Fort Lauderdale Executive, Tamiami, right? Dade Collier. I had to know those things. Palm Beach, Pompano. I had to know those things. And then you get into like all of the islands, right? You got to get into, those airports in South and Central America, the international ones, because Miami was an international airport. I had to be familiar with that. I had to know them code. Not to mention the identifiers for all the airlines and all the different airplanes and all the different air carrier identifiers and stuff like that. Right. So you see a little Citation or Gulfstream flying around out there. I see ExecJet. I see Red Stripe. Right. You see a big old 747 says British Airways. I see Speedbird. Right. I see Land Chili. This big old airplane got land on the side of it. That's what I see. So you had to know these things. You had to know them code. So it should be the same for law enforcement. I'm sorry, especially in Texas. There's certain states, any state that's within a certain radius of your state, that you should know those identifiers code. You should know those abbreviations code, or you're not allowed to use them. Yeah, okay, I got to spell it all the way out, which is not practical for what they got to do, right? They're in vehicles. You want to make it as easy as possible for them to put these identifiers in so they can get the information that they need. I get that. So the police screwed up. The police department came right out and said, yeah, man, we blew it, right? They're stressing the need for accuracy. They don't send that bulletin out right away to all their cops. Make sure you know these things. All right, that's good. And it sounds like they're going to follow up. And they're going to make any changes to their current policies and procedures that's going to make this better. Why? Because this could have ended horrifically. Could you imagine if one of them kids had jumped out of the car and just ran away because he was scared? What the police might have done? Could you imagine if the father jumped out of the car too fast or reached back into the car? Could you imagine? A Frisco police spokesman, Officer Joshua Lovell, said the department had no further comment Tuesday, citing the ongoing police review of the traffic stop. He declined to provide a copy of the police incident report to the Associated Press, saying a formal records request would have to be filed for the public information. Yeah, I get that, because they know it's a lawsuit coming. They know it's a lawsuit coming. I believe that they're just going to have to scrape up some cash and start making offers. They've already owned it. They already said they made the mistake. So it's just a matter of, how much money will this mistake cost us? These kids, that this whole family sound pretty traumatized to me. On the body camera video released from the July 23rd traffic stop. So this was July 23rd. Wow. Tensions are high briefly when the driver tells police she has a gun locked in her car's glove compartment. See right there, that part right there. The lady, she doesn't know any better. She's a citizen. She's a good citizen. She's a square. And she's telling law enforcement, We got a gun in the car in the glove box and it's locked in there. There's still 3 people in there. Now the police are really heightened. Now the cops are scared now. Why did she tell them that? People, you ever dealing with law enforcement and you are armed, let them find the weapon. Don't say nothing. Let them find the weapon. If the weapon is on you and you're legally carrying, let them find the weapon on you. Don't tell them. Remember Fernando Castillo? He told him he was armed, and you see what happened to him. Let them find the weapon on you. Don't make any sudden moves. Don't reach anywhere around your weapon. Keep your hands up. If they say we need you to reach in your pocket for something, like, nah, you come up here and reach in my pocket. How about you come up here? You put them cuffs on me. How about you come up here and do that? I'm not reaching for nothing. Like, I'm telling y'all, people, be careful. These cops on the street, they just want to go home. At the end of the day, man, they want to go home. That's all they're thinking about. They have no problem doing what they got to do and then talking about it later. Oops. That's what they'll get. Oopsie. Well, he was armed, so I feared for my life. So whatever. And I'm not trying to trying to paint the cops to be these bad people. They want to get home. They don't want to get shot for $20 an hour. Would you want to get shot for $20 an hour? $15 an hour? No, man. And people are capable of doing it. You see the worst that your bubble has to offer, your city, your jurisdiction. You see, that's all you deal with is the worst. I ain't mad at the police, man. They need better training. They need to be paid more. So if you're dealing with law enforcement and you're armed, you're legally carrying, don't tell them. Yeah, I said it. You know what I mean? Don't tell them. Let them find that weapon on their own. Let them find that weapon. So she told them there's a gun in the car. Now they really heightened, right? Occupants of the car, leave your hands outside the car. So as soon as she said that, all the other police officers screaming orders and instructions into the car. Occupants of the car, leave your hands outside the car. There are 2 kids in there and a grown-up. There are 2 little boys in there and a grown-up, 2 teenage boys. And get your hands out the window. Get your hands outside the car where we can see them in the windows. Like, man, I don't know what the configurations are in Chargers. I've never really been in a Charger or Challenger, whatever type of car this was. I ain't never been in those cars like that. So I don't know if you can, which windows come down? You know what I mean? Is it just the front windows? Is it a 4-seat? I don't know, man. I don't know if it's a 4-door. But the cops right away, leave your hands outside the car. We know there's a gun in there, right? This is what the police are saying. Occupants of the car, leave your hands outside the car. We know there's a gun in there. One of the officers holding their handgun shouts at the passengers, if you reach in that car, you may get shot. All right, so here's a scenario. You got the driver of the vehicle, female, walking back towards law enforcement. And they're talking to her, and she's saying, I don't know what's going on. I've never been in trouble before. She's crying. Law enforcement is talking to her. Hey, there's something wrong with the license plate. This car may be stolen or whatever they're saying. And then this woman, because she wants to help because the police are the good guys, she says, we have a gun in the car. It's in the glove box. It's locked up or whatever. So immediately the other cops hear that. And they're like, occupants of the car, leave your hands outside the car. We know there's a gun in there. One of the officers holding a handgun shouts at the passenger, if you reach in that car, you may get shot. Right? Let's keep it 100, man. That's a threat. You reach in there, I'm shooting you. You reach in that car, I'm shooting you. We know it's a gun in that car. And you got kids, 2 teenage kids and a grown-up. Now we play the what if game. What if one of those kids has special needs? What if one of those kids was just sitting there rocking back and forth and they kept putting their hands in and outside the car because they got problems, they got special needs? What's going to happen? And I tell you this, when law enforcement shoots, was a group of cops and one police officer fires his weapon, they all fire their weapon. And generally speaking, they don't stop until they run out of ammo. They don't stop until they empty the weapon, which again is bad training, very poor training. You never fire till you're out of ammo. That doesn't make any sense, especially at the same time. Y'all all gonna shoot till you're out of ammo, so y'all all got to reload at the same time. That's dumb. That's dumb. But that's how they're trained. I'm trained differently. I'm a soldier. I'm trained differently. So you see how bad this could have gotten. This could have gotten out of hand quick. This could have spiraled out of control extremely fast. The police are telling the man, the grown-up and his 2 kids in there he's responsible for, his son and his nephew. They telling you, if you reach into that car, you may get shot, man. That's a promise. That's ain't no may about it. We see you reaching that car, we shoot. Again, all this because of a mistake. So it was an innocent mistake. Well, don't, innocent. Well, we'll see. Civil rights lawyer David Henderson reviewed the video that showed part of the stop and told the Dallas Morning News he thinks the family was profiled, adding that he believes police violated the family's constitutional rights. Here comes the money. They already know they're going to have to pay. They already know they're going to have to pay, man. And they're negotiating right now. This family went and got an attorney. I'm pretty sure tons of attorneys called them up. This is a cut and dry one right here. The civil rights lawyer, like, yeah, they were profiled. Of course they were profiled. Policing is all about profiling. It's just which profile do the police go after the most? We know the answer to that. I mean, it's what it is. We know the answer to that. I live in a very nice neighborhood in my area here, Central Florida. Very nice neighborhood. Very nice. If I go to nice neighborhoods in any city in America, I go to nice neighborhoods, I could be wearing a tuxedo. It does not matter. I'm getting profiled. I'm getting followed. It is what it is. I'm getting followed. I already know it. I know how it works. It is what it is. Now, I'll tolerate this up to a point. I'll tolerate it up to a point. You're gonna profile me, that's fine. You're gonna approach me, be respectful. If you a cop, you come up to me, you a police officer, you come up to me, and you out of pocket. Oh yeah, we're gonna get your supervisor down here. I'm gonna let you know what time it is. I don't care what your name is. I'm looking at your badge number. Get your supervisor down here, patrolman 6426. That right there lets police know, like, uh-oh. I already got, man, bro, you got your body camera on. Keep your body camera on. Get a supervisor here. They must comply. They can't just walk away. Now, don't walk away. Hey, officer, stop him. Officer 528, stop him. We gonna get to the bottom of this, right? I've been, you know what I mean? It is what it is. I've been there. But if you're respectful to me and you come up and talk to me like you're human and let me know what's going on, I'm gonna talk to you. All right, officer. Okay, that's cool. All right, I get it. Hey, listen. It's like, and the cool cops, man, they come up, they say, listen, bro, I already know what it is. I'm gonna apologize up front, but hey, we got a call for a suspicious person wearing a dark jumpsuit, walking around the neighborhood. I see you wearing a tuxedo. I don't believe that you're the guy, but I just cannot have your information because I want to be able to clear you, whatever. And I'm going to comply. Like, all right, here you go, man. Here's my ID, bro. Here's my ID. I ain't tripping. You don't have to legally do that. Constitution, you don't have to do that. But I will here, man. I ain't tripping, man. Here you go. We have a back and forth. Hey, man, by the way, that's a nice tux, bro. Like, hey, thanks. Appreciate that. Where you headed? Well, this is an event for veterans over there. Oh, you're a vet? Yeah. Well, what branch? And you just hold back and forth. Yeah, I was Army. Oh, man, I was Navy. And then we start talking all that banter, right? We start just whatever. Those are the interactions with law enforcement that I like. And as an older man, I have those interactions with law enforcement more. But sometimes you get asshole cops. Now, you run into less asshole cops, I believe, today because of body cams, because of cell phones, cameras, right? They can't get away with it. And they done left the field. They can't get away with it. So they calm down, which I think technology has made it good. You know what I mean? We got a young knight in the house. Brother Jack, what's good, fam? Good to see you. Good to see you. So things are getting better. Things are getting better. We still got a long way to go, but things are getting better. Brother Jack is saying, befriending the police is how I always taken it. I give them a business card. I mean, that's cool. That's cool. Like I said, man, it is what it is, man. Our society is the way it is. America is America. I'm a black guy. And I would say 8 times out of 10, when law enforcement sees me walking around, I'm the bad guy. I mean, it is what it is, bro. It is what it is. Now, it's not as bad today as it was in the 80s and 90s, depending on where you are. Right? So, like I said before, man, I spent a lot of time in LA. If you are south of the 10, and anybody from LA know what I'm talking about, if you south of the 10, hey, LAPD got a problem with you, bro. You getting followed, you getting pulled over, unmarked cars, marked cars, police on bicycles, the whole 9. Helicopters, the whole 9. you always fit the description. They always, and then once they realize you ain't a gangbanger, and they can tell because there's certain taxes, there's certain keys they look for. They look at how you dressed and they look at your car and everything. Once they realize you're not a gangbanger, all right, it's cool. They leave you alone. But south of the 10 in LA, it's a problem. If you in the valley, man, you cool, man. You riding around Van Nuys or whatever, so long as you ain't in some of these little pockets. But you cool, man. You good. Your license plate is cool. You ride through Culver City and you black, you getting pulled over 100% of the time. Yeah, I said it. If you ride through Culver City and you black, you getting pulled over. The police see you, they are pulling you over. Failure to signal, right? You didn't come to a complete stop. You speeding. There's something wrong with they think there's something wrong with your license plate, whatever. Tint too dark, you black, you getting pulled over in Culver City. That's how they do business. It used to be like that in Inglewood, but I think the government went in there and broke up Inglewood. I mean, it's just cops are cops, man. Brother Tez is in the building. What's good, fam? Good to see you. So, civil rights attorney already came in there saying, yeah, man, they got a case. Right? A black woman having a firearm in her vehicle also may have played a role, he said. I don't see how. That's Texas. Right? That's Texas. You want to talk about some of the most lenient carry laws. That's Texas. I know my concealed carry from Florida is good in Texas. It's good in Ohio. It's good. It's good just about everybody in the South. Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, the Carolinas. My Florida concealed carry is good in Texas. And they got that whole castle doctrine, man, out there in Texas. I don't see how that's a problem. And they didn't know she had a firearm until she told them. Like I said, I don't tell the police nothing. You got to find out on your own. You find a weapon in there on your own, we can talk about it. You find a weapon on me, we can talk about it. But I ain't telling you I got a weapon. And people say, why? Well, because the police may shoot you. Dude said it right there. Oh, they got a gun in the car. We know it's a gun in the car. Reach your hand in there. We may shoot you. That's why you don't tell the police, man. But a black woman having a firearm in her vehicle also may have played a role. I don't know about that. In cases I've seen involving people of color who have a license to carry, as soon as they alert the police to the fact that they have a weapon, the police change drastically in terms of how they deal with them. Goes to what I just said. Right? It goes to what I was just saying. Let the police find that weapon on you. Sit. When they find it, like, why didn't you tell me? I don't have to. You know what I mean? I'm not telling you. Y'all already jumping. Not telling you I'm armed so you can just shoot me and then blame me. Nah, I ain't telling you. Y'all get as mad as you want. Why you pull me over? Suspicion of blah, 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 blah. Whatever, man. You pull me over because I'm black. Tell me that. Tell me that. You pull me over because I'm black and you think I'm the bad guy. But that right there, in cases involving people of color who have licenses to carry, as soon as they alert the police, the whole situation changes. Fernando Castillo, as soon as he alerted the police that he was armed, which was by law in the state that he was in, he had to tell law enforcement that he was armed. They shot him. He was like, I'm armed. Okay, we need to see your license. Now, I'm not going to get into that. There's some things that I wouldn't have done if it'd have been a completely different scenario if I were him. Whenever I get pulled over by law enforcement, I got my license and registration out, ready to go. I know they're going to come up and ask for one of those two things. I got them before they get out the vehicle. I already got it right here in my hand. So I ain't got to reach for nothing. And if they ask for something that I don't have, or they want something else, I'm like, I'll tell the officer, like, hey, can I get out of the car? And I can just sit over there and you can go look for whatever you're looking for. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are like, don't do that. Don't give them permission to search. Man, ain't nothing in my vehicle, man. Go ahead. Go ahead. I don't think the cops down here are as dirty as the cops I dealt with in Ohio. I don't really believe the cops down here, at least in where I'm at in Central Florida. I don't think they're planting evidence. I mean, there are cops who do, but I just don't see it. But I don't know, man. You gotta think it through, because you want to survive the encounter. You want law enforcement to be comfortable. You don't want them afraid, especially when they have their weapons drawn. It's just a normal encounter. Man, I give you what you want. Here you go. Like I said, down here, I've been stopped a couple times and they let me go both times. No, nothing. Hey, just slow down. Hey, thanks, bro. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, make sure you come to a full stop next time. I get it. You're rushing, whatever. I get it. Hey, man, thank you. Thank you. You know what I mean? And guess what? I slowed down. Guess what? I come to a complete stop every time I come to a stop out here. I make sure I do one of those. Come to a complete stop. Because I know how it is. But when black folks, when people of color let law enforcement know they're armed legally, it changes the situation. The article continues. More than 7 minutes passed before the officers on the scene holstered their weapons after recognizing their mistake and approached the car. So they knew there was a mistake and they still kept those weapons out. 7 minutes. That could be an eternity. You're sitting there looking at people with weapons on you for 7 minutes, bro. That's take it for somebody who's been shot at, man. I'm telling you, man, you never want to look down the business end of a weapon, ever. You never want weapons pointed at you. One of the children keeps his hands on the back of the car as the driver's husband gets out, telling the officers they're travelers from Arkansas and had just finished breakfast before their car was stopped. So, you know, if the father gets out, he probably doesn't have a lot of experience with law enforcement either, like dealing with this. If this happens to me and I'm in the car with my family already, we already know what this is. I've already briefed them long before this incident. They know what it is. You know, play by my lead. This is what we're going to do. Do what the police officers say. Don't worry about it. It's what we're going to do. I'm certainly not going to be sitting there crying and all that kind of stuff, man. It's because I know I'm expecting it. And then the father was saying, listen, bro, we're just here for a basketball tournament. The Sabi man tells the officers. One of the children can also be heard crying as the man adds, y'all pulling a gun on my son for no reason. I mean, you know, I'm not crying. I don't want my family and my children looking at me crying. I'm not crying. If this goes bad, it goes bad. I want the last thoughts of my children. They don't see their dad standing up, doing what he has to do. If it means I got to go deal with these, whatever. That's the last memory of their father is going to be, dad was out there protecting us to the end. I don't want to be out there crying and, you know, people put me on my knees and whatnot, man. If it goes bad, it's going to go all the way bad. We're just going to have to deal with it. So I'm not crying. Now, you know, I was talking to Jay Swans about this, and Jay Swans was like, man, you know, he was just doing that for the camera. No, he knew the camera was only doing that so he get more money. Nah, I think I'm listening to this man. This man was petrified. He was afraid for his life, man. But again, he probably didn't come from that world. He's not used to it. He's got his kids. He feels helpless. I get that, but I'm not crying. I'll cry later. You know what I mean? Cry later somewhere and nobody can see me. But I'm not crying in that moment. I'm telling my sons, I'm telling my nephew, and I'm telling my wife, whoever the woman is, hey, stay calm. Relax. I got this. We are fine, right? This is an airborne family. You know what I mean? I need to tighten that up. Square all out of the way. Hood, that's the way I'm doing it. Because I want the law enforcement officials, those cops, to walk away like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right. You know what I mean? That's a real dude right there. Because, I mean, that's just my take on it, y'all. I could be wrong. That's just my take. That's my take on it. But this man was like, listen, he was just going to this tournament. He's crying. The officer apologizes repeatedly, with one saying they responded with guns drawn because it's the normal way we pull people out of stolen cars. Another assures the family that they were in no danger because they followed all of the officer's orders. That's BS. You're always in danger when someone's pointing a weapon at you. Always in danger. Accidental discharges happen all the time. People not really paying attention to where their fingers are. So you out there, you got your finger. It shouldn't be on the trigger. But if this is a felony stop and once they say that there's a gun in the car, I'm willing to bet that every officer on the scene put their finger on the trigger. And depending on what type of weapon they're using, anything can happen. Anything can happen. They ready to fire. They done told you. You reach in that car, we're gonna shoot you. So no. That I don't buy that for a second. You and your family were in no danger because y'all followed our orders. Nah, man. I got you boys pointing guns at me and my family. We are not safe. Like, no. Y'all cooperate, nothing's going to happen. The officer says, no one just randomly shoots somebody for no reason, right? Police do all the time. Police do all the time. There's video out there of all kinds of shootings by police for no reason. There's a police officer asked the guy who was coming out of a store like a Circle K or 7-Eleven. Police rolls up on this dude. This guy's car is parked. He's coming out of the store. The police says, Give me your ID. So the guy reaches in his car. The door is closed. He reaches in through the window to grab, to the visor to grab his ID. The cop shot him. Shot him in the shoulder. Then the cop was like, why'd you reach in the car? Like, you told me to give you my ID. My ID is in the car. That police officer shot that man. That man was complying with the orders that the police officer gave him. Cop didn't say don't reach in the car. The cop said, give me your ID. So the guy reached in the car to get his ID. The police officer shot him in the shoulder. Didn't kill him, man, but he shot him. There are tons of stories out there. All you got to do is look it up. Tons of stories out there like that. And most of those police officers never got fired, never got disciplined, never got charged, right? That's aggravated assault, attempted murder. If I just shoot somebody on the street like that, the man was complying with the orders and he got shot. That's why this father here with his family is sitting there crying. He knows just how much danger they're in. For a police officer to say no one randomly shoots somebody for no reason, right? Man, cut that out, cop. Stop it. Stop it. The officer who initiated the stop was among those with guns drawn, also black, right? So the woman who caused all this was a black police officer who made a mistake. She explains that when she checked the license plate, I ran it as AZ for Arizona instead of AR for Arkansas. Right? This is all my fault, okay? The officer say, I apologize for this. I know it's very traumatic for you, your nephew, and your son. Like I said, it's on me. All right, well, how much money you got in your account, shawty? Somebody's got to pay for this PTSD. That family is traumatized. Oops, my bad. Oopsie, it's on me. Oopsie, my bad. Somebody cutting a check. And even that check ain't going to help. That check don't help with the nightmares. That check don't help every time you out walking around, you see law enforcement and like the adrenaline starts pumping and you get scared and start shaking. Right? That check, come on now. That oopsie, sorry, my bad. Right? What's that check going to help with? All right, maybe that check can help you get some help to kind of deal with this, to work your way through this. These are young boys. They got to deal with this for the rest of their life. It might trigger something in them. They might become violent. Or they might become so introverted that they never want to leave the house. What's that money going to do? Nothing. Right? They certainly got a problem with authority figures and people in uniform. Oopsie, my bad. Come on, shorty. The driver's husband visibly shaken after police explained what happened. He says that he dropped his phone after the car was pulled over. If I would have went to reach for my phone, we could have all got killed. Facts. The man then turns away from the officers, walks to the passenger side of the car, and bows his head, sobbing loudly, right? And that's probably all in the video that they have posted on here. That man understood exactly what situation he was in. That man understood that he and his family were in grave danger because the police officer typed in the wrong abbreviation for a state. His whole family could have died. The man said, I dropped my cell phone. If I'd have reached in there to pick up my cell phone, the police probably would have shot us. Not probably, would have. How do we know that? Because the law enforcement said it. When mom was being brought back with her hands up and she said there's a gun in the car, right away the other cops, I'm telling you, all their fingers went on the trigger. It went from here being next to. So when you got your weapon, right, you got your finger here. Right? You got your finger here. But the minute you ready to fire, your finger goes here. So as soon as they heard it was a gun in the car, I guarantee you every police officer there, bam. Every last one of them, bam. As soon as they heard there was a gun in the car. And like he said, if the phone rang, he just kind of reached down to get the phone, man, they would have tore that car up with him and them two boys in the car. They would have tore that car up. For whatever reason, law enforcement likes to fire until they're out of rounds. They'll fire until there are no more bullets in the weapon, which again, that's crazy. And then when you look at, well, what type of magazine capacity they have, depends on the weapon they're carrying. But law enforcement does that. Again, it's part of their training. I think that's very, very bad training. You should always, like, like in the Army trained us, man. You know what I mean? One shot. So it's just how you should take one shot, bro. You want to be on target and you want to be smart. But again, I was trained differently, man. I come from a different era. But this man and his family were definitely in grave danger because and again, that police officer made a mistake. I get it. And like I said, I'm glad the police department came out and said, yeah, we made a mistake. We're going to look at our training. We're going to look at this stop. We're going to make whatever changes are necessary to improve as a department. And we're going to make our officers better. Man, I got to give them a hand for that, man, for real. That's impressive to me because it wasn't that long ago when the police wouldn't care. And the police would have really leaned on that family. Go ahead and say what you want to say. Because, cops, it'd be cops in their hometown running around here talking about, you know what I mean? You lucky. Just let you know we here. This is like another way of like, we watching you. Terrible, man. Terrible. But I get the fear, but I'm not crying. I'm not going out there. I'm not crying like that, man. Whatever. I'm going to face it, whatever it may be. And if it's my time, it's my time. If they're going to do what they're going to do, my family's going to see me standing there like a man dealing with the situation. Like I'm standing on my feet, bro. I ain't going out crying. Over here sobbing. I ain't doing that. And I'm not mad at those who do, man. Hey, man, I ain't mad. Do what you got to do to deal with the situation. I ain't calling nobody out. There's no shade to nobody. There's no shade to that man. You know what I mean? I get his pain. I felt his pain. I know exactly where he is with it. I would just handle it differently. Especially when I got these young men looking at me, these young boys, soon to be men looking at me. I want them to see strength. I want them to see this is how you face fear. This is how you face the end. That's just me though. So that's it, man. I just want to come on y'all real quick and just share that. Let me know what y'all think, man. Team Replay, bro, for real. I will say this, man. I honestly believe that this technology is going to make things better in the long run for people of color. I think law enforcement eventually is going to get the resources and the training needed to make them the best possible officers out there on the street, serving and protecting. I think that whole culture is going to change. It's going to be a slow burn, but I think it's going to change. You look at what's going on out there in California, man. It's the Wild West, man. They gangster with it. Those cops out there in LAPD, they're gangs in those cops. LA County Sheriff, they're gangs within those organizations. They're going through cleaning it all out. So hopefully that's the case. It goes that way from coast to coast. Hopefully it goes that way from coast to coast. Hopefully law enforcement gets better. Hopefully we find the resources and we get the best of the best, right? Hopefully we'll have training that's so tough that 80% of those who apply wash out. We're left with only the best of the best. And then we can properly pay these officers to do a very, very difficult job. Hopefully. You know what I mean? I'm going to stay hopeful. We'll see how it plays out. But technology is definitely our friend these days. We're not for technology. We're not for body cams. We're not for cell phone cameras and people walking around filming stuff. It will be just as bad as it was in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s. It will be every bit as bad. But technology is coming. Things are getting better, slowly but surely. So that's it. That's all I got to say about that, y'all. You know what I mean? Thanks for rocking out with me. I appreciate everybody who stopped in for a quick second. Yeah, I'll be back. I might even be back on again. I might do another late night. I got to go out and do some stuff. But when I come home, I might do another late night. Not sure what I'm going to talk about, though. It'll be I really want to know stuff. I was watching some videos out there that was talking about dating and talking about some other stuff, man. So, yeah, I think I might have something for y'all tonight, man. It'd be I really want to know. We'll talk about some of that Manosphere Red Pill stuff, bro. So until then, man, enjoy the rest of y'all Thursday. Remember, the weekend is almost here. You just got one more day, right? It's all good, man. So I'm DL Saint. This is the Downrange Podcast. Look at Young Nike's like, do it. I'm definitely going to do it, bro. It'll be a late night. It'll be a late night one. I'm going to do it. We're gonna talk about some dating and red pill stuff. So that's tonight. So I'll see y'all tonight. I'm DL Saint. This is the Downrange Podcast. I'll talk to you later. Peace.
Darn, that's the end.
Come through tonight.